Okay, I'm excited for our podcast today. Faith and I are going to do a podcast swap. So this is going to be very conversational. You can find it on my podcast, on her podcast. So we are going to just introduce ourselves for each other's audiences. So Faith, go ahead. You go first. Lead the way, girl.
Sure. My name is Faith Mariah. I'm from faithmariah.com. I help people scale to six figures without the drama and make a simple business plan. And then my team and I work with you to be able to actually execute the plan because we found a lot of people will know what to do, but that doesn't mean we all know that doesn't mean you're out there doing it every day, right? So we provide the support for entrepreneurs to keep taking the action day in, day out. They need to actually execute their plan once we make it. And that's a little bit about me. And Brittni, I'm so excited.
I
I'm so
know, I
excited.
know.
You guys are going to love Brittni, you guys from my
We
podcast that
have,
are
yeah,
listening.
we've spent some time together this week because we did
We've,
another thing earlier. So it's been, and I always love when I interview or when I chat with people on my podcast, you know it's going to be good when we have been talking for like 30 minutes before we hit record and just like, yes, yes, like just on the same page on so many things. So
yeah.
yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited. So I'm Brittni Schroader and I am a business and marketing coach as well. And I focus a lot on automation systems, creating funnels, those types of things to scale. So very actionable steps and all the things. So we have an overlap. We do some of the same things and some different things, but yeah, so it's been really fun. We were chatting earlier and we were just saying, what should we talk about? What should we talk about? And we had so many things that we were talking about, but we kind of landed on something that I actually love to talk about, and that's like creating luck in your business. Faith was like, yes, let's talk about that. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Brittni told me this incredible story. She said, I had a photography magazine, and the photography magazine, she was like, it was good, but it wasn't making me like a bajillion dollars or anything. It was like a passion project. But she was like, but then because I was putting the magazine out and meeting so many people and doing so much marketing around it, she got invited to be in the Wall Street Journal and on Good Morning America. And she was saying, I just think it's such a good example of creating luck. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love the idea that like luck is a controllable variable, right? Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think like luck is just happens, like you just trip over it, and then all of a sudden you're on Good Morning America, and that's
Yeah.
nice for Brittni, but
Yeah.
that'll never happen to me, and
My
that was all
15 minutes
luck.
of fame. Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think, one of the things we were talking about too is we were talking about like marketing and just like you have to be consistent. You have to show up, but we're also saying like what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for like another person. And as entrepreneurs, we see especially social media. We're on social media and we're seeing people who are really successful. I think even though as business owners we know like it's just everything isn't what it appears to be on social media, right? And so we see people and they're like they're having all the success, like I have to do what they're doing if I want that same type of success, and that's not necessarily true all the time. It doesn't always like work that way, you
It's a
know.
really good point. And I love this like related to luck too, because I feel like for me, the biggest opportunities I've got in my career, in my business, and when something really magical happens, it's usually when I'm kind of in my own lane,
Hmm.
doing something different than everybody else, right? And kind of like when you really follow, I think those nudges of like what you're supposed to do, or oh, I think I need to start talking about this, or oh, I think I need to reach out to this person, or oh, I should like invite that person. Like you just never know where those doors
Hmm.
lead, whether that's like intuition or God or whatever you guys personally believe in,
Hmm.
or just good old luck. Like it doesn't really matter, right? But I think we all know what that feels like where you get those nudges where you're like, oh, maybe I should talk about this or maybe I should do that. Have you had experiences like that, Brittni?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is probably like 6 months ago, and I had just moved. Well, I guess I moved like a year ago, but I was just kind of like, gosh, like social media has been working so well for me for so many years. Like I was a photographer at work, I got tons of business there, and now I'm a business marketing coach, tons of business. I'm like, I'm not getting the return that I used to get on it. And I was like, I've got to pivot. And I remember having a conversation with my girlfriend that's also an entrepreneur, and we were just like kind of brainstorming like what do we do? It's not working for me either. And I was thinking I need to go back to like the basics. Like I am very extroverted, so, and I'm a people person. I love to meet people, And I just was like, I need to start doing more in-person stuff. Like that is stuff I enjoy. I'm good at that. I really enjoy it. And I just kind of started pivoting in my business and doing that. And I definitely benefited from it. I more opportunity, so I think you really have to listen to yourself and find your strengths and focus
Yeah.
on those strengths.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that's a good tip when we're talking about how do you create luck or
Hmm.
position yourself to have more luck, right? It's like leaning into the things that you're good at versus, oh my God, everybody's on TikTok, I have to be on TikTok, or oh
Hmm.
my God, everybody's talking about this, I have to talk about this, right? And we all do it. Like I think it's pretty like human nature-y, right? Where
Yeah.
we're like, oh my gosh, like everybody's smarter than me, everybody's better than
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like they have it all figured out. But I think if we're talking about maximizing luck, it's like when you're in your lane doing your thing that you're good at, right? In your way. I think that like magnetizes people to you and opportunities to you. And that's when those doors can start to open,
Yeah.
right? And then I love what you said too about like just being out there.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of luck is just like trying a lot of different things, putting a lot of things out. And also, I think I would say like luck likes repetition,
Hmm.
right? So most people that you guys see, like when you guys see somebody like Brittni, you're like, oh my God, she got to go on Good Morning America, or so and so got this opportunity. They probably didn't post one time.
Hmm. Yeah.
They were probably out there like, for a while doing that thing, or maybe have even done other things that failed even before they got that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think for me, I actually do this like presentation where I talk about like failure.
Mhm.
And I think if I look at my life, like I have failed way, way more than I have like succeeded. And I think, and we were talking about that earlier this week. It I can't remember if it was you, but we were talking about like, what is something that you would tell like your younger self or, and I'm like, it's failure. Like learn to embrace failure at like really early on, because once you accept it, then it's part of the journey, it's part of the process. And you think, okay, like I've done things where I failed. And I'm like, okay, like I failed at this. What did I learn? Moving on, instead of just like, dwelling in it and getting stuck in it and showing up when I was in the Wall Street Journal and Good Morning America, like it was lots of years ago, and I was a high school senior photographer. Like I was not the best high school senior photographer, like by any like stretch of the matter. Like I wasn't, but it was the thing that got me there was my networking, that I had owned this magazine and I was talking to all these people, so people knew who I was. And that really is what marketing is becoming memorable to people so they remember you. Like how are people
Yeah.
going to remember you? But it's true, like luck, does it happen to people? Yeah, but I guarantee you people who you look at and you're like they're lucky, they probably really like worked hard to get there. And then something did happen. So it is just constantly showing up, and then good things happen because it's a numbers game. And you meet
If you
somebody
keep
or
Yeah, if you keep showing up, like a door will open,
yeah.
something will happen, right? And I think that's what people miss, especially when they're doing things like social media. Really, like most of the strategies I see working at this point for business and marketing are long-term strategies, especially
Hmm.
with sales. Like I'm seeing like people need a lot more touch points now, people need a lot more marketing, a lot more time to
Hmm.
trust you, all those different things, right? And I think when you just show up over a long period of time versus just trying something a few times and being like, oh, it doesn't work. And then you try something a few
Yeah.
times, it's like, oh, it doesn't work. And it's like you're not positioning yourself to put yourself out there long enough to get those doors to open, like to get the opportunities. Like you're not allowing the opportunities a chance to form around you, right? You're not giving yourself a chance to be known for what
Yeah.
you're doing, and you're not giving yourself a chance to make those connections. And I think that's a good point too, what you said about the networking. I think a lot of online business owners are kind of sold this idea of like an online business, you start a business and it rains money on you.
Hmm.
It's all
I
like passive
wish.
income and everybody's so rich,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then you get in here and you kind of realize, it's not that. It
yeah,
does take a lot more effort and work, and they are real businesses. And that is a very important business strategy is networking. It's always been that way. When you have an
yeah.
in-person business, you wouldn't expect to just be able to sit in your house and not do anything and not market and not advertise and not put your stuff out and have a ton of customers. But for whatever reason with online businesses, people do expect that they can just put their website up and people will
Mhm.
just find it.
Yeah.
Like magic. I don't know.
We're like, really? Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, kind of back to like the consistency and just showing up. I recently, as in yesterday, from the day we're recording this, I hit 10,000 followers on my Instagram.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
so
you. Thank
fun.
you. And it's interesting because I was thinking about it and I was looking at like, oh, how, and it's funny, like to me, I'm like, oh, 10,000 is like, yeah, it's a lot, but I also comparison, right? But I'm like,
Of
yeah,
course. We
but
all see the people that have a bajillion. There's lots.
yes, yeah. But I'm looking at like right now I'm looking at my numbers and I'm like I've posted 1,300 times. 1,300 times. And how did I get like I worked for every single one of those followers because I have been posting. I think I started my consistently posting on my account. I haven't had it for like 10 years or anything like that. I think it's been maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. But I posted Monday through Thursday the entire time. I don't think there was 1 week where I did not post in that amount of time. Did I have stuff that went viral? I had like of those 1,300, I probably had less than 20. Really, I mean, I really did not, there was a handful that like, oh, those went big and I did get a bunch of new followers. But I worked for every single one of those followers. Like I hustled for them. And, so that's just an example of like, I had to work for those,
I
you know?
love this. And I think it also goes to show, and this is what we were talking about too earlier, I think the consistency, right? When you're like, oh, I showed up Monday through Thursday, but I'm sure you had like, at least in the beginning, some kind of system that you used, right? That allowed that to be sustainable. And
Yeah.
so I think one of the things people miss is they'll be like, I'm going to post on social media more. I need to be on social media more. People will say
Hmm.
stuff like that to me. And I'm always like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like when I'm coaching, I'm like, how much more should you be posting? And like,
Yeah.
how do you know that? And like, I think just making a decision about I'm going to post Monday through Thursday every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like it sets you up to not have that drama of like, I should be posting more. I'm not posting enough. And you're like, no, I should be posting Monday through Thursday one
Yeah.
time. That's what I'm going to do. And so I
Yeah.
think having that clarity, the systems create the structure, right? So that it makes it sustainable to be able to show up long enough so those opportunities can come to you so that you can hold the space, right, to create that luck for those good opportunities to come in.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
use a system like that to be able
Yeah.
to?
Yeah. And I love that too. I love that topic because it's about having clearly setting and defining your goals. And
Yeah,
so it's interesting because people say, I want to do like kind of like what you said, like I want to do more. Well, what does that mean? And
yeah.
and it has to be like a clearly defined goal. And so I had a goal, and my goal was very specific. And the goal was I'm going to post Monday through Thursday. And that was the goal, and it was very like clear defined that I'm going to do it this much. And then my system was Monday was content creation day. So I write it down in my planner for 1 hour every Monday. I set my timer and I create content for 1 hour and then I'm done. Do I always get all like 4 pieces of content done in an hour? No, if I'm doing a tutorial, it's going to take me like probably longer than that. But then what I would do is I would check it off my list. I would move to the next thing. And then I would schedule maybe on Tuesday, hey, I need to create one more piece of content and I put it out there. But it was like having that system. And I think who is it that is it Steve Jobs? Who's the one that like always wore the same color shirt or the same shirt every day? Was it
Oh
Steve
yeah, I
Jobs?
think it was Steve Jobs. Yeah, if you just
Yeah.
had the same like thing you wore every day.
Yeah, because he said it's one less decision that I have to make. And so I think and I think that is a really effective way to organize your business. Like we were talking about like ADHD and I have clients that are like, you seem so productive. Like I just really struggle. And I said, it's these systems where every Monday is content creation day for 1 hour. And then I have other stuff to do. Every Tuesday is podcast day. And I'm either looking for guests or I'm recording podcasts or writing whatever. Every Wednesday's blog day. I'm writing a blog. And so when you have those like more defined goals, it's easier to show up and be consistent. It's easier to, like that's how I'm creating luck is through
Yes.
consistency,
Yes,
you know?
exactly. Right. And I think I always say your business is like it's a time and money gremlin. It just always wants more
Yeah.
time and always wants more money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to have strong boundaries when you're a business owner. And I think those systems also protect your energy. Because if you make a plan and you're like, I'm going to post on Instagram once every day, like Monday through Thursday, 4 times a week. I'm going to put four pieces of good quality content out every week. You have these clearly defined goals, right? And that allows the boundaries to be there. Whereas when you're just like, I'm going to just post on Instagram as much as possible, like
Yeah.
you're going to have that gremlin on your shoulder the whole time that's like, I should be posting more. I should be posting more. I didn't post enough. I need to do more. And that actually is what I think creates burnout is that
Yeah.
constant chatter in the back of your brain. It's such an energy suck. It makes you feel so defeated. No matter how much you post, it's still there clamoring on. So you
Yeah.
never feel like, oh, I did my work. I'm done well today. Like good for me. You never get any of that satisfaction. It's just constant
Yeah.
gremlin on your shoulder chattering. We all have chattery brains, I'm sure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, that's why having clearly just like clearly defined goals, but like manageable. So like say I have to create a web page, and I know that that is gonna like a sales page or something, and that's gonna take me, I know, hours and hours and hours. If I write down, okay, I work on my sales page today, I can work on it for 7 hours, and at the end of the day, I can look and I can say like, I didn't get anything done today.
I hate that
Because
feeling.
because I didn't complete anything. And so that's
Yeah.
why I also believe in doing like bite size. So if I'm doing a sales page, I will put on my to-do list like work on this for 1 hour. I work on it, I cross it off, and it tells my brain that I'm accomplishing things, even though I didn't finish, but I finished that task. And so I
Yeah, that's a
think that,
really good way. I like doing the
yeah,
time block where you're like, yeah, work on sales page for 1 hour. I do
yeah,
mine where by task. So I'm like, do the introduction section of sales page.
yeah,
The thing that I hate is when I look at my calendar and I'll have something on there that's like work on course. And I'm
yeah.
like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
I'm like, and then it's like you don't even know if you did it or not. And that creates that feeling like you're talking about. That's like, I didn't even get anything done,
Yeah,
even I've been here doing stuff all day.
yeah,
It's did I do what I set out to do? Well, I don't really know because I don't really know
yeah.
what I set out to do.
Well,
So yeah,
yeah. So when we do like little bite-sized things, it also like it kind of it gets the momentum going because then we feel like, oh, I'm getting crap done. Like, look at all the like my checks on my list. Like, I'm really doing
that's a
it. So it really
I think that
works.
energy is good for luck too. When you're, I always talk about I had this VA when I first started, and when we signed on to work every day, we would just like gas each other up and be so excited about the business every day. Like she really was excited about my business and the traction we were getting. And she would sign on and we would just be like, oh my gosh, like everything's going good. And the business is going so well. And this is going to be huge. She would say that to me all the time. She'd be like, this is going to be huge. Like you don't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
know how
Oh,
big
I
this
love
is
it.
going to be. And we would just say stuff like that back and forth. And it was so fun to, I look back on that. That is like a long time ago for me. It was like before I was making six figures. It was like right when I had hired my first VA. And I'm just like, oh, that like, little baby idiot kind
Yeah,
of. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, but like it was such a fun time because we were just like, oh, it's work. Like we were just in the energy all the time of like, it's working and this is going to be huge and this is going
yeah,
to impact so many people. And we worked from that place. And I feel like that energy, I really believe magnetized a lot of luck to me because it allowed me to show up every day excited. It made
mhm,
me show up more because I wasn't showing up like, this isn't working. I put out this many things and nobody bought, nobody did this. We were just like, this is everything we're putting out is going to come back and it's going to be huge and it's going to be amazing. And this is going to be so great. And people are going to have their minds blown. It's going to be so awesome. Right. And I think there's something about that versus what you're saying, going to the office being like, I didn't get anything done, nothing's
yeah,
happening. This is so hard. And I mean, we've all been there. Like, I feel like that it's really
yeah.
easy to be in that
Yeah.
energy.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, and it
Yeah.
also helps to have hype girls that are gonna like hype you up and be like, you got this, you got this. You know what I mean? Like
I
I
like
love
really
that
like
energy.
love her for that still.
Yeah,
Like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, what a precious little
yeah,
angel.
yeah. That's awesome. No, I think, I just have like one more thing to add to it about
Yeah.
like luck is just, find what you're good at because it's really hard to stay passionate about something when it's like not your jam. Like I do like social media. I enjoy like entertainment. I love aesthetics. Like I love the way things look. Like I do enjoy that. And so me posting, it hasn't been hard for me because like I enjoy
Yeah.
it. But like if it's not your jam, like you can't stay consistent and passionate. So that's find something if you like to write, blog. And if that brings you joy, it's way easier to stay consistent with
I
that.
would find like, yeah, and I think if you're just starting to like find like one way you like showing up so you can be consistent. Once you figure out your sales process and you start making money, you can pay other people to do other
Yeah.
things. Like
Yeah.
I don't actually like the short form videos as much, right? But
Yeah.
my team cuts clips, like we'll take this video, they're gonna make this into clips, right? And that allows me, I love having conversations like this, right? And having long form conversations. And then I give them to the team, they cut them into short ones and they post, right?
Yeah.
Now, I didn't start paying that people to do that right out the gate before I had a profitable business,
Yeah.
right? But I think that's like you can find ways to do things so it's sustainable, right? If I were making myself make the videos because I'm like, well, the videos do best when I do face to camera. Those perform best. These clips that
Yeah.
we cut, they are not like the best content on there.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people go into black or white thinking where they're like, oh, if it's not the optimized strategy, then I'm not going to do it at all. Whereas I'm very willing to like, no, those videos, like, they don't take a lot of effort to meet for me. They don't cost very much money to produce at all, like to pay the team to clip and put them up, and they get a few hundred views. And to me, it's like, could I make myself make videos that are optimized and get,
Mm.
more views on them? Sure. But it's not going to be sustainable to me because to your point, it's like that's not, I don't enjoy that. I
Yeah.
enjoy long form conversations like this and connecting with people and not just, it's just not for me, right? Like
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about.
Well, and I think, and we kind of talked about this too before we like hit record a little bit, is sometimes at the first, like you have to do stuff that you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And, we have these people that are like maybe our mentors or people we look up to in our industry, and they're doing it one way, but they also are making a lot of money and they can outsource. So I always say, like, at the first, you do have to do a lot of stuff that you might not enjoy, but when you get to the point where you can afford it and you're making money, then like focus what you're good on and delegate things that are not your strengths
And
for
make really
multiple
good
reasons.
systems. Make really good systems for the things you
Yeah.
don't like doing. Because so
Yeah.
like even so I outsource everything in house. So if I wanted to do social like outsource social media, it's like I for a long time was cutting the clips, but then I just made a process so I could be like, this is how I cut them. These are the things I look for.
Yeah.
These are the font colors I want. This is how you do it. And then I just make that into an SOP and hand
That's our
it.
love language, Faith, our love language. We said this last time.
Oh
Our
yeah.
love language is SOPs.
It's like I know. Well, I'm like a creative, right? And I'm just like
Yeah.
I like live and die by that stuff because I need
Yeah.
my team. I have ADHD and like a thousand things going on, and I rely on my team for a lot. Like really, truly, I really, really do lean on them a lot. But I can lean on them because the
Yeah.
structure is there, and I know they're gonna be able to figure out how to do it and create the SOPs, right? So it's
Yeah.
done the same way every week.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love this. This has been like such a good conversation.
It's so
And
fun to connect with
I
you. I'm so
know,
glad you got to come back. I'll put, if you guys are
I know.
listening to mine, I'll put in the show notes
Yeah.
the Power Hour Brittni was on because we were talking about our favorite tech. And you guys definitely have to go check that out. It was a really good conversation. I'm so nosy.
Yeah.
I was so glad that you guys
I
let
know I
me
love
like,
that
I'm like,
too.
what are you doing for this? What are you
Oh yeah,
using?
I love that too. I do too. I do too. And I will put and same, I'll put Faith's information and I'll put that link in there too in the show notes so we can my listeners can check you out and check out that because it was a really great conversation. So thank
Awesome.
you so much. This was so fun to chat again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You guys create your own luck. Keep showing
Yeah,
up. The doors will open. I'm
for
always like, the
sure.
miracle's right around the corner. Like, don't
It's gonna
stop before
happen.
the miracle. Just
Yeah.
keep going, and then like those doors will open.
Yeah, ditto. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks.